Hello YouTube, how are you today? I'm good. This video is going to talk about an overall view of Maverick Transportation's orientation and flatbed driver training for experienced drivers, what Maverick calls regular drivers. First, you need to know how Maverick classifies drivers. There's one of two kinds. There's either student or regular. Regular is easy to do if you have at least 6 months of verifiable over-the-road experience where you've done at least state-to-state work on a regular basis for 6 months and it's verifiable. You're considered a regular driver. Now, there are grades of regular driver, and those grades really have to deal with pay. The more over-the-road experience you have, the more money you're going to make starting out. The maximum cap is 5 years, and the maximum starting pay is 48 cents a mile. Now, you can make more than that as your tenure with Maverick goes up, but 48 cents is the base starting pay. The other kind of driver is student, and student comes into 3 grades. The first is people who do not have a CDL at all. They'll want to come to Maverick. When they do, they don't actually come to orientation first. They go to truck driver training, which is held in Little Rock at, I believe, Little Rock University. I'm not really sure, I don't remember. But I do know they only allow 12 people per class every week for that. And from what I understand, there's a waiting list of about 3 months to get into that school. I'm not sure how long it is. I don't really know much about it. The second is people who already have a CDL but have not been out with a trainer yet, or have never been in a truck on the road. They are considered base students, and they come straight to orientation, and then once orientation is over, they go to flatbed, and then if they need it, they go to glass as well. And then once all that's done, they are given to a trainer, and that trainer can keep them on the truck anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks, up to 2 months. Once that time is done, they go back to Little Rock for 3 to 4 days for evaluation and testing, and then they're issued their own truck if they've made the cut. I'm not sure what happens if they don't make the cut. Maybe they go back out on a trainer. I really don't know. I didn't investigate. The third type of student is a student who has a CDL and has over-the-road experience, but it is less than 6 months. And they are treated just like a student that has a CDL with no training. Though generally they can get out of they need to spend a minimum of 3 weeks with the trainer. So that's pretty much it. I, being an experienced driver, came in as a regular. Now I have 10 years of over-the-road experience, so I was topped out at the top of the pay scale at 48 cents. And I will say right off the front, dealing with the recruiters at Maverick were really, really good. They answered my questions. They didn't try to bullshit me. Anything they told me, I got in writing via email. Straight up. And when I asked for clarification on something, they didn't hesitate to correct me if I was incorrect or provide more information on something that I needed to know. My application and process took about 10 days. I know I filled out my application on a Thursday. I got a call back on Friday morning, and I didn't mean morning, it was like 8:15. And I talked to Ryan, and he was my recruiter, and we talked about my application. He went over everything with me and then offered me a tentative job offer over the phone. Now, that tentative was based on whether or not all my references and all my information checked out. He said that he would send my application to the processors, and they would go over and make sure everything was kosher. Then I got an email from him with a whole bunch of information dealing on benefits, company benefits, pay schedules, work time, regional fleets, all that stuff. Everything I'd want to know, actually, prior to wanting to go to work for Maverick. It would have been nice to know, but they gave me all this stuff anyway to solidify my decision. So the weekend went by, and on Monday I got a call back and saying, hey, we verified 2 of your 3 positions, because I only had to list 3 because of the number of years I've been driving. And they were having a problem verifying my time as an owner-operator. and that was because the company I worked for really didn't exist anymore. So we went through some hoops and we talked about what I could do. I had a lot of different options. I could have provided them copies of my daily logs for 6 or 7 years, or I could provide them 1099s or whatever. I did the 1099 thing, but by the time I got them the 1099s, which took about a day and a half, they were able to get in contact with someone who could verify that employment break. So on Wednesday, he called me back saying everything was kosher. He'd like to offer me a job. I'd like to offer me a chance to come to orientation, I should say. They never offer you a job. They offer you the opportunity to come to orientation. And that's something I'd like to touch on real quick, is that Maverick does not just bring people to orientation. A lot of companies, you fill out an application, they bring you in, and then they send you home if they don't like you. Maverick doesn't do that. Maverick makes sure that everything on your application is good to go before they even bring you in for orientation. They don't want to get you in there and then have to send you home because they couldn't verify your work history, or you're a felon and they found out about it, etc., etc. They go ahead and check all your background checks, check all your references, check all your employment histories. They check your MVR and your DAC through both High Right and 10th Street, and then make sure everything together as a whole is together. Now, if you are a military veteran, they will require a copy of your DD-214 if it has been less than 10 years since you served in the military. Now, it's been 30 since I served in the military, almost, and they didn't require it of me. However, I did provide them with one just for grins. The reason is they, unless you received a dishonorable discharge, being a military veteran here is a good thing. They give you recognition, and that recognition includes being listed in their list of military drivers, as well as having stickers placed on your truck that say it's military veteran and your branch of service. I don't have those on my truck. I didn't opt to put those on my truck. If I get a newer truck eventually, maybe I'll do it. I don't know. There's a lot of guys that do it, and there's a lot of guys that don't. It's just one of those little perks. So when he offered me the opportunity to come to orientation, he gave me the choices. Since I was an experienced driver, he gave me the option of choosing when to come. I decided I wanted to give the company I was working for 2 full weeks notice. Even though there was only 2 weeks left on the contract I was working on, I was going to be out of a job anyway. I let my manager know that I was going to take vacation on the last day, and that I would be going to Maverick after my vacation was done. That was cool. So he said, Brian set me up for 2 weeks out to come, and he said he would contact me about travel arrangements. 2 weeks went by, and on Monday, before the weekend I was supposed to go up to Little Rock, he called me and let me know that I had a lot of options. Well, really, only 2 options to get to Little Rock. I could hop the Greyhound, and they would pay for it, or I could see my way there, and they would pay me for what it would cost to do a Greyhound. I don't do Greyhound. I hate it, and I would rather walk. So they gave me the money, which turned out to be like 120 bucks, and I rented a car and drove from Dallas to Little Rock on my own dime. They picked me up on the airport, and actually ended up making money on the transaction because it cost me less to rent the car and buy the fuel. They picked me up at the airport in the shuttle van, and it was already packed because they'd just come from the bus station, and we got to the Maverick headquarters. Once we got there, I was very, very impressed. The place is extremely clean. It's gigantic too. It's more like a college campus with truck parking than it is a trucking company. They put us in a hotel that is on the property. They own it. There are 2 people to a room. It's 2 floors. I think it holds 36 people or more. I don't remember counting the rooms exactly. And the only downside is the doors do not lock. When both of you are in the room, you can lock the door. But they have a policy that there's only one of you in the room, you can't lock the door. If both roommates are in the room, you lock the door. You're not supposed to visit other people's rooms with the door locked. There you go. They segregate men to men and women to women. And in my orientation class, we had 2 women. And both of them were students. So, once you checked in the hotel, the evening's yours. They got a TV lounge, but the rooms are pretty basic. 2 beds, dressers, desks, and a shower, bathroom. Next morning, to get you up at the crack of dawn, you go in for breakfast, and they segregate you out into 2 different classes. If you're a regular driver, then you will go into a regular driver class. If you are a student, then you'll go into the student driver class. You can expect that the student driver class is going to be bigger than the regular driver class. The regular driver class can be a maximum of 12. Mine was 5. They average 4 to 6 is what I was told. After we got into our separate classes, we went through paperwork that verified our IDs, social security card, and driver's license. Note on your social security card, it must be an original, and it must be unlaminated. If it is damaged in any way, cut, torn, whatever, you need to get another one, because they put it through a little machine that scans it and puts a digital copy of it in your records, and it has to be able to fit to that machine. We had one guy that it didn't work, so they took him down to the Social Security Administration office so he could get another one. And I think it finally showed up in the mail at Maverick, like the day before he was supposed to leave on his own truck. So they put it through the machine, and then they sit you down on a stylus, and you sign your signature. And you need to make it a good signature, not a scrawling piece of junk, because that electronic signature will be used on everything you do on the computer-aided training system, or the CDT, computerized driver training. So once that's done, they did some lectures on stuff, mostly talking about the Maverick way and expectations, and the rest of the day was taken up with PowerPoint presentations and other stuff like that, and actually stuff to get you through the orientation, because the orientation really hadn't started yet. It was prep. Okay. After that was done, you were done for the day, and then we went back to the hotel. The next day, they told you there would be no breakfast. Don't eat anything unless it's very, very light, and make sure you don't drink too much either, especially caffeine, like coffee or soda. Once that was handled, the next morning was all medical, 99% medical. You get up in the morning, and they separated you into groups, and then they put you in alphabetical order, or in different ways, and then they walk you through this labyrinthine process of going through all the things that they want you to do. You go through a urinalysis, and then a hair follicle test for drugs. The hair follicle test is not mandated by the FMCSA, but it is Maverick policy. You must submit to it. So if you are like a lot of people and shave all your body hair, do not shave your body hair before you come. Okay? They either need it off your head or somewhere else. And I do believe they will take it from your nether regions if they have to. For me, I had them take it off my back. As you can see, I don't have much on my head, so I want to keep what little I got. So they took it off my back. Some guys, they shaved their legs. Another guy, they shaved his arm. I know a young woman, they took it from her nether regions. So after the hair follicle test, then you go see the nurse who takes your blood pressure, does your weight and your height, checks your neck size. This is for men and women. And then if you meet the criteria based on weight, neck size, and BMI, you're scheduled for a sleep study. Anyone that they determine may be a candidate for sleep apnea must take the sleep study. If you refuse to take the sleep study, you're done. Simple enough. I didn't have to do it. After that, you stand in line to see the doctor. Okay? Once you go inside the cuticle, you strip down to your socks, nothing else. Okay? And then wait. He comes in, does his thing, does some range of motion tests, check you for hernias. What he does for ladies, I do not know. Don't even care. And then you're done. They send you out. Once you're done with that, you get a little break, and then they send you on to the agility testing. The agility testing is a long, drawn-out process, takes about 3 hours, and is very varied. Everything from range of motion testing, measurements, to stair-stepping, weightlifting, everything else. At this point, you are not required to lift a 120-pound tarp and carry it anywhere. The most you're required to lift is the floor lift with your knees, 60-pound box of weights. Place it on a table and put it back on the floor. Then you're also required to pick it up and lift it to your chest with your elbows out like this. Okay? Your hands have to be like this. And then put it down on the floor. If you can do that, you pass. what most people fail in this particular part of the agility test is that getting their elbows up. Okay, so after that, you go down and you have to climb up onto a trailer and then up on top of a load and then get back down again. And then climbing in and out of a truck showing proper 3 points. Once all that's done, they give you an envelope. You take it back to your trainer. The envelope has either a red card or a green card in it. If it has a green card, you're good to go. If it's a red card, they send you to the side so they can discuss your options with you. Everybody who comes to Maverick, whether they're going to be pulling flatbed, glass, or refrigerated trailers, has to pass the agility. There were several people who didn't pass in mine, and they were sent home. After that came lunch, and then there's more classroom time. Most of it is just HR related stuff, talking about money, leave, health benefits, things like that, and working on logs and safety videos. Once you're done for the day on that, day three, they talk about pre-trip inspections, give an introduction to OmniTrax, which is the Qualcomm system. If you have never used it, like me, it was somewhat valuable. I've learned more by reading the manual than I did in the class. They talk about off-duty driving, or what's called personal conveyance driving, and then they spend some time talking about PSP, or the pay for performance system. We're talking about mileage averages for your particular fleet and stuff like that. And then there's a presentation from the safety manager, and that's a pretty good thing. It lasts about 2 hours. He talks about Maverick safety policy, its history, and things like that. And then in our particular class, Doug Ritchie, the executive vice president and COO, came in and gave a talk about Maverick, its history, where it's going, what the plans are. Basically, welcome us. Once that was done, day 4 rolled around. Morning was taken up with all benefits. Period. You spent the entire morning working on benefits. Signing up for them, discussing what's available to you. Some things are available once, and that is the time you take it. Like AD&D and workers' comp, specialized coverages and things like that. Those are only available that one time. And at other times, stuff we talk about what's open and open enrollment and when you can sign up for stuff anytime. Maverick's benefits are very, very good. They're well on par with my last company. My last company was a bit cheaper and the coverage just a tad bit better, but my last company is much bigger than Maverick. About 30,000, no, it's about 20,000 drivers, I think, spread across 12 business units. And then after that, they did value-driven driving. Value-driven driving is somewhat like Smith's system, if you're familiar with it, though it places a different kind of emphasis on it. And I'm not going to go into that. I went into it into the individual video. And that was it for the day. And then they spent some time trip planning, doing some trip plans with you. Day 5 came around, the Thursday, and then the morning was talked about hazardous materials awareness. This is a hazardous materials information class. It is not a substitute for taking a class or passing the test at your DMV. But it helps Maverick on their stuff because they consider everything. They consider the trucks themselves hazardous as far as all the liquids and stuff that are in it, oil and diesel fuel and stuff. After that, we went over and did a tour of the corporate offices, and then met our recruiters, and then headed back and met our flatbed training instructors. Everybody went to flatbed. Those people that were going to temperature control, they met their temperature control teacher. That class is like 4 days. And then they actually started flatbed training that day. It was very, very minor. We're talking about the equipment that's on the truck, where it's stored, how Maverick wants it done. Because if you drop a trailer somewhere and it's got equipment on it, Maverick wants the equipment to be exactly the same way on every trailer. So especially new people, students who just got their own truck, don't get lost. Prime example, when I picked my trailer up for the first time, the tarps were in the wrong boxes. After that started 5 days of securement training, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on those. I went into heavy detail on that in the individual videos, but those 5 days were long and rough. You got up early every day, and you didn't get done till late in the day. The first 2 days were coils. The third day was pipe. The fourth day was all miscellaneous stuff, lumber and things like that. And day 5 was tarping. And that's it. On the Thursday, the second Thursday following your orientation, of your coming to orientation, they issue you, if you're a regular driver, you get to meet your fleet manager and then get your own truck. Now, there's a couple of different ways. Most people will get their truck on their yard. However, I did find out that for me, I had to go to Gary, Indiana. The problem being is they have a lot of older trucks, a lot of 13s, and there's still a few 12s floating around. And they've got to get those trucks, those people in those trucks, so they can use them to their time limit and get them into Little Rock to get rid of them. And and I was told, whether it's true or not, when you bring in your old truck, you will get a new truck. Everybody gets a new truck when they bring their old trucks in, as opposed to getting a newer, turning in a 12 and getting a 14. You're going to get a 16 or a 17. The only thing I did not mention was on the Thursday that you transition from orientation into securement training, is they actually give you your job offer. That job offer is very, very important, because at that point you're covered by Maverick's workers' compensation insurance. And that workers' compensation insurance enables you to go into the training base. Before that, you're not even allowed to step foot in them unescorted. So, overall impressions, for me as an experienced driver coming to flatbed, I was very, very impressed. Maverick's orientation system seems a little bit backward at times, but everything works. It's a steady flow. They produce people that know what they're doing when they came out. I had absolutely zero experience or idea how to secure anything beyond lumber. And that was untarped lumber at that. Okay? And I tarped one lumber load ever. And it was actually pre-tarped for me. It was just, all I had to do was untarp it. So going through all the training, I learned everything I needed to know. And the stuff that I learned is stuck in my head. And I have everything at my fingertips in my notes or in the Qualcomm if I need to reference back to it. Or I can call the 24-hour flatbed securement hotline to ask questions. So overall impressions, very, very good. If you're looking for a quality outfit that will train you the way you want to, whether you're a student or an experienced driver, or you want a company that seems to have their game on, better than most other companies, then I would seriously consider you giving Maverick a try. And in a brief note, if after reviewing all these orientation and training videos that you've decided to come to Maverick and you would like to be so gracious as to help my family, please use me as a reference. My name is on the channel. And that will help my family, and it will help you out too. You will get a bonus as well, I think. So, other than that, Maverick training was very, very intensive. It was very, very tight. It was a very, very rough 11, 12 days. I was perpetually tired. I went to bed every night and slept. And when I got out, I was very happy, but I felt accomplished. I felt like I'd accomplished something. So that's about it. And if you have any questions regarding this or anything else, please take a moment to post them in the comments below, or you may email me. If you're on TTR, then you may post your comments to me there. If you found this video informative or any of the others, please take a moment to subscribe and follow me as I blog my daily road trips, as well as produce other videos relating to trucking, ham radio, and nuances. So, have a wonderful day. Thank you for visiting, and I hope you consider Maverick Transportation as your next truck driving employment